We are back. This is episode 7 of this illustrious Shutdown Inning Podcast. I'm Stephen Rissotto along with Tylor Hall. Tylor, there's a lot going on. What's going on with you?
Hey, everybody. Yeah, the hot stove is a cooking right now. It's been a crazy last 24 hours or so in Major League Baseball. Kind of as we expected, the winter meetings are in full swing now. So, kind of something a lot of baseball fans have been looking forward to. And yeah, there's some action going on right now. I have MLB trade rumors up right now. I'm refreshing it like every couple minutes just to see what's going on.
This is like the best. When there's no baseball being played, this is like the second best thing that you could ask for is like a whole ton of transactions, even like the little trades. Like I know Jesse Winker went to the Brewers in a trade, Colton Wong went the other way to Seattle. Like even stuff little like that. And then you look at the implications of what it means for the market, and like
Yeah.
there's so many like little things that happens. Like it's next to the trade deadline. I think the winter meetings is like the second best thing. So
Yeah, and it's nice to have the winter meetings back, at least as far as like an actual in person. It's really easy to get stuff done really quickly. Stuff can happen at an incredible pace at the winter meetings because every executive, every team has their brass there, every agent is there, and so things can really snowball, which is
yeah,
really fun to watch for baseball fans. So we've been, the World Series ended a month ago, and it's been a little slow, and so now it's like hyperdrive.
yeah, no doubt. And the good thing about the winter meetings is that MLB like has made it like gotten it to the point where it doesn't just have to be revolved around trades and signings. Like they do like they have the draft lottery coming up. I believe that's either in the coming days or today. I don't know when that is. I believe it will take place during the winter meetings. Then you have the Rule
Yep.
5 draft coming up at some point. And we just saw the Hall of Fame contemporary ballot committee vote on a Hall of Famer. So there's stuff going on. It's San Diego. I mean, who doesn't like the atmosphere in the winter? And there's MLB Network. They travel there. I mean, it's such a
Yeah.
cool atmosphere. So I love it.
Yeah. I'm excited to see what the next couple days bring because there's going to be a lot of names coming off the board. So,
Yeah, and I'm just now setting my timer, so we won't go an hour this time, I promise. But there is a lot to get to, and I did
yeah.
mention the contemporary ballot. And did we both say that McGriff was going to be the only one to get in? I feel like we both had that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, not surprised. I mean, I think we both said, he should have been a Hall of Famer on the original on the regular ballot. So it's kind of righting a wrong there. So, congrats to Fred McGriff, well deserved. I can't, I think he was unanimous too. Like all 16 put his name down. So
Yeah, definitely, and a guy who like is being recognized now after the writers didn't vote him in, and I thought that he had a really good I guess case on the writers ballot for a long time, and if he had hit 7 more home runs, he would have been in. But I think what hurts
yeah,
him is that he played on a lot of teams, and I think I don't know what it is about playing on too many teams, but for some reason it takes away from like the legacy aspect of it.
yeah, for
And
sure.
because these writers like to associate, 2 or 3 or 1 or 2 teams with a particular player, and McGriff was just everywhere, and you couldn't keep track of him, but he was quietly putting up offensive numbers. So yeah, congrats to him, very well deserved. Were you shocked to see Mattingly get as many like votes on this as he did? I think he got 8 votes.
He got 50%. Yeah, I was pretty surprised, especially because I didn't actually know. I didn't know that they capped how many guys the committee could vote for. I guess
Mm-hmm.
it was capped at 3,
Yeah.
which is just I hate limiting how many guys a voter can vote for. It's like, are they a Hall of Famer or not? It's not like, well, these are the top 3 guys, and this 4th guy's a Hall of Famer, but I can't vote for him.
Yeah.
So I think, especially with those limits in play, I was pretty surprised he got 8.
Yeah. Yeah. I was, Mattingly is interesting, and we've talked about like how short his peak was. But I thought Clemens would be, or not Clemens, sorry. I thought Schilling would be the guy that would, get maybe second because, Schilling, remember he tweeted, he's like, I want my name removed. I want to leave it up to the Veterans Committee because
Yeah.
they're my teammates or former players that I played against and coaches and stuff. And
Yeah.
I mean, he got less than he did on the writers' ballot. So tough road ahead for Kurt Schilling. And I think what did happen, you mentioned the 3 votes per person. where that might come into play is, you look at a guy like Bonds and Clemens and they're attached. Like, I don't think any of those guys are going to leave one of them off.
Yeah. So if you're going to vote for, like, I think where you're going is if you're going to vote for McGriff and Schilling or McGriff and Mattingly, you're not going to vote for either Bonds or Clemens. So it's like your ballot's
Yeah.
either going to be McGriff and Bonds and Clemens or McGriff and two other guys.
Yeah. And kind of like, we see this a little bit on the writer's ballot, but like there's always that one argument every year where like, oh, well, Bonds and Clemens don't have enough. Like, I'm sure, this committee sat at the table and determined, Bonds and Clemens, they don't have enough to get in. So, Susan Slusser, for example, Frank Thomas says, Susan Slusser, why would you waste your votes when we're sitting right here telling you that Bonds and Clemens won't get in? It's something like that where like they don't want to.
Would have been interesting if they had like a 4-vote limit, so you could vote for McGriff, another guy like McGriff, and Mattingly, and Bonds and Clemens. But that 3, I agree. I hadn't really thought of that aspect. It kind of just put the nail in the coffin before the vote even happened.
Yeah, it was like those arguments where it's like, let's, Jeter's getting in, so I'm not going to vote Jeter, and I want to give some love to Kenny Lofton so he could stay on the ballot one more year. It's just vote for the Hall of Famers, Jesus. I mean,
yeah, I mean, obviously, I'm disappointed that Bonds and Clemens didn't get in. It's just gatekeeping. I just feel like they're doing themselves a disservice not having them in. I feel like it would be a shitstorm in Cooperstown for like a year when Bonds and Clemens get in, and then after that, it's just like, yeah, they're in the Hall of Fame. Like, they're not going to come back or anything, And so now, though, like every year, people are going to talk about like Bonds and Clemens should be in. It's going to be like just a story every year now, and people are going to talk about it. So
yeah, and I mentioned this last night on Twitter and such, but the road for them to get in is like the path is as narrow as it's ever been. Like, it's honestly looking like it. Yeah. And I hate to say this for anybody listening that are big supporters of them. It's not going to happen anytime soon. Like, because, we had high hopes. We were like doing the math. We're like, okay, they might have like 10 votes, maybe 9. They weren't even close to getting in. Like, and that's the thing. If they were a little closer, then you could say, 2026, maybe we'll have some new blood on this committee. But they were not even close. I mean,
I think it'd be interesting to figure out like how much that 3 vote, like you said, you had to vote for both of them. You can vote for like Clemens and not Bonds, or vice versa. So like, I wonder how much that, like you said, Big Hurt says to Susan Slusser, like, they're not going to get the votes. So I wonder how many of it was like people who would have voted for them but knew it was a lost cause and put their votes elsewhere.
So wild.
I was pretty, I was pretty demoralized from a base. I didn't lose sleep over it or anything, but just to see how little support they got, it was it was pretty crappy for a Giants fan. But
and it's funny because I had I haven't said this yet anywhere, but I actually had a local politician call me last night who just finished running for Congress, running a great campaign. Shout out to David Canepa. He called me and he's like, why isn't Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame? What are they doing? He's like, I'm feeling like I want to go off on Twitter right now. And I was like trying to talk to him and everything. And it's funny because like a lot of people care about this stuff, but and yeah, I don't know if the Hall of Fame, as long as the Hall of Fame figures out, and puts together this committee, they're going to gain no traction because this was a complete attempt at like, we tried, we put them on there.
We gave them a shot.
Yeah, and we put on, we gave them a shot, and it obviously was a disaster in terms of the results. So
yeah,
pain and suffering.
Honestly, I'm kind of in the boat now where I think eventually they'll probably get in, but it's almost like Pete Rose. I think Pete Rose will get in, but they're not going to let him have the satisfaction of ever knowing he's a Hall of Famer. It'll be after he passes away.
That's horrible.
I could see. Yeah, it definitely sucks, but I think that's what's going to happen with Rose, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's what happens with Bonds and Clemens as well.
Yeah, and I think that if there's a situation, because I know Cooperstown, the Hall of Fame, they want to avoid any awkwardness at the Hall of Fame weekend in like July or whenever it is. They want to avoid any like, previous Hall of Famers skipping the event. They don't want that, So why don't, didn't Terrell Owens like skip out his Hall of Fame thing, and he did it like somewhere else private.
He gave his induction speech like at his college gym or something like that.
Yeah, Barry Bonds should just, Oracle Park, and they're like they have an MLB Network like camera there, and do it somewhere else. If I'm him, I'm never going to Cooperstown, even if I get in.
Yeah, that might be the boat they're in. If he ever gets in, that might be a decision he makes. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, screw that. I'm not going to be around those people. Um, I don't know. It's
But
such a
hey,
interesting thing.
McGriff, well deserving. He's been a Hall of Famer for 20 years now, and they finally got it right. So, congrats to the crime dog.
Crime Dog, of course.
But
And there's big things happening other than Hall of Fame in
yeah,
San
some
Diego.
future Hall of Famers are on the move right now. That's
Oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Yeah, and late Friday night, I believe. I mean, very under the radar time to make a signing. And the Rangers like announced it themselves. Jacob deGrom signed a 5-year deal. What was it, $186 million?
Yeah, like 185, 186.
Yeah,
Yeah.
180 in that range.
I was shocked that he got 5 years. And there's an option for a six. I mean, the option, he's going to have to be performing in that fifth year to get the sixth. But so if he gets that sixth year picked up, he obviously earned it. So, but yeah,
mhm.
I was surprised for sure with the length.
Yeah, I mean,
Not
this is
surprised by the destination, or I'm not surprised by like the annual value, but the length is what I'd double take.
Yeah, this is and I know that you've had conversations with people about this, but like his durability really is a question, because I think 5 years is interesting because I think 5 years it gives you enough time because they're really betting on like Jacob deGrom to be lights out Jacob deGrom when he's on the mound, we know how good he is. But the
Yeah.
problem is having him on the mound. I think he's pitched like 27, he started like 20 something games and over the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And
The
he's
reason
been
I didn't really worry about that too
Mhm.
much is it was one injury. Yeah, it was a big one. He missed a
Yeah.
year, but it's not like he, made five starts to start 21 and then broke down and then came back and made another seven and then broke down again. It was one injury. It's just how long it took. And he bounced back really strong from that injury. He was really strong at
Yeah.
the end of the year for the Mets. So, I think, before that, I think he had 1 year very early in his career where he only made like 20 starts. But besides that, he's basically made every start that he, for the first 6 or 7
Mhm.
years of his career, made most of his starts. So,
Yeah, I'm worried about the shoulder. I'm worried because if I'm not mistaken, there is like he's been, kind of flirting with the chance of getting surgery again on that shoulder. I'm not sure if that's true. I know he
I'm
did
sure
have.
the Rangers did some homework on that.
Yeah, they had to have. They wouldn't have made. They probably got some medical history, but I mean, Texas. I mean, it shows you how much they need pitching in the worst way.
Yeah.
And like Bruce Bochy, Chris Young was on MLB Network today, and they asked him, they're like, when you made this signing, what did Boch say? And Chris Young said, Bochy, his exact reaction was, "Holy smokes!" So Boch getting a
get
big dog and deGrom.
get out there, Grommy. Give me seven.
Grommy, there you go. That's a good one.
That's what I'm. Bochy always calls his guys something like that, and
I
so
was
I don't
thinking
know.
Jake.
Yeah, get Jake out there. But
Jake.
yeah, he's gonna get the most out of deGrom. Bochy knows what he's doing with managing a pitching staff. So if deGrom can stay healthy, and hey, at least the Rangers are doing what a lot of teams probably wish, or a lot of fan bases probably wish their team would do. They're trying to put a competitive team out there, and I think the West is going to be a really fun division to watch. Basically, except for the A's, you could argue that each one of those teams could win the division. You wouldn't be terribly surprised by it. I think it's still Houston's to lose.
Mhm.
But hey, there's another team in Texas. There's a new sheriff in town down in Texas now too.
Yeah, and even though the Rangers have had some issues, the past few years in terms of their record, and they fired a manager and all of that, I do applaud them for spending money because a lot of teams
Yeah.
in their situation, like Pittsburgh, for example, they don't spend any money, and their payroll is like a little thin little piece of paper.
Yeah.
The Rangers could have easily done that, and they choose to
Yeah.
go a different direction and spend money. And honestly, even if there's teams better than them, I still feel like sending money gives a good signal to the players that you want to win. And the Giants could easily just sit there and say, oh, the Padres and Dodgers, they're better than us. They're making more moves than us. Let's go crawl and die for the next 4 years. But they're not going to do it either. But that's a different story. But were you shocked that like it seemed like there was no attachment from deGrom with the Mets?
I was surprised he didn't even give them a chance to like counter. Like he got the
Hmm.
offer. I think the Mets had made like a 3-year, 120 or so offer I had heard, which is right around where I think most people expected him to sign in
Hmm.
that range. And from what I've seen and heard, the Mets didn't get a chance to match. So either he just knew they wouldn't, or he didn't really care and he just wanted to get out of there. Um, yeah, I mean, who knows what's going on behind the scenes where he was just like done with New York and didn't feel like he needed to give them that chance. I was surprised by that because he's been there his whole career.
Yeah, and it didn't take long for them to make another move.
No, yeah, let's roll into that because we can kind of wrap up, talk about the pitching market in a sec. But yeah, Verlander, yeah, the Mets didn't waste any time, replacing deGrom. Um, and yeah, well, it's 2 years, 86, I think it
2 years,
is.
86. I believe there's an option for a third year.
Option for a third.
Age
Yeah, so similar.
43 season. Oh,
Yeah, I mean, who knows? If he pitches like he did this year, he's going to add another Cy Young to that potentially. So, like I said, people talked a lot about Judge's contract year that he had. I think Verlander, for his age, like couldn't have asked for a better year. You'd be stoked if a 28-year-old pitched like he pitched this year, and he's 40. So,
and the funny thing
now,
is, I have zero, like the age is such a like background fact for me. Like it's Justin Verlander just came off a Cy Young, like you mentioned. I have no concerns about any decline with Verlander, and I haven't felt this way with a pitcher going into his 40s in a long time. A player going into his 40s in a long time.
yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, when was the last time you felt this confident about a 40-year-old? I mean, most of them are
Yeah.
retired by now, so you're not expecting them to pitch at a Cy Young level, let alone at all. Um, so, now they've got Scherzer and Verlander on the same staff again. So what, like 85 million between the two of them? That's
Yeah.
more than probably like 2/3 of baseball's payroll between two starting pitchers.
I didn't even think about that. They're reunited from their Detroit
Yeah, from
days.
their Detroit days. Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. Obviously both of those guys are proven that they're up there in age, but if they stay healthy, you've got arguably, two of the top 4 or 5 pitchers in one staff. I mean, if they stay healthy and the Mets make the playoffs, who's knocking them out in at least in like a 5-game series? They're at least punching their ticket to the NLCS, if you ask me.
Yeah, no doubt. And I wouldn't be shocked if they're in on any other starting pitchers. I don't think they'd go and get Rodon, but I think I could easily see them bring back like a Taiwan Walker or something, or
Mm-hmm.
um I don't know how much they would want to retain Chris Bassett, but the Mets, I mean, I don't know. I feel like there's something missing with the deGrom thing. I still feel like that really messed with the starting pitching market a little bit. And now it's like a game of musical chairs of who's going to get Rodon because he's the best pitcher available.
But yeah, he was stoked to see both of those deals. You got the 5 years for deGrom, which is gonna now he could probably ask for 6 or 7 and see if he gets it somewhere. I think he'll probably get a 6-year deal now at least, and then 43 million for a year for Verlander, and now he is by far the best starting pitcher on the market. So anyone who's missing out on an ace right now, they're all looking at Carlos Rodon, and
Mm.
he can see what he can get out of it. And he's a guy I think is going to go, whoever offers him the most money is where he's going to end up. So where's it going to be? I saw someone earlier, someone text me and said 6 years, 180 is kind of what he's looking at now, is what he's hoping for. So
Yeah,
I
and
don't know if
his
I'd want
yeah.
my team. I think we've talked about it before, but as people talk about deGrom, health history, like, do people forget how much time Carlos Rodon has missed in his career? I mean, he's been healthy for the last year or two, but he's missed a lot of time from injury. So now you're going to have some team giving him potentially 30 million a year for a half decade or more. That could be one where it comes back to bite him. It also could not. He could pitch like he did this year for the Giants and really anchor a staff. So
Yeah, he's and I think like the two places that, the two places in terms of deGrom going to Texas and Verlander going to the Mets, that's like two of the top suitors that I expected for Rodon. Like
yeah,
I think that I originally thought, oh, maybe San Francisco, and then when the Giants said, it's unlikely, or Pavlovich said it's unlikely they would retain him, I was like, oh, Texas would be interesting. And then like the past few weeks we've heard Mets, and now they go in a different direction. Now I'm kind of hearing like Yankees,
Yankees, Dodgers could become,
Dodgers, yeah.
they've had a lot of, the next guy we'll talk about, but they're having some money free up on their books as well. And the Dodgers always like to make a splash, especially after they don't win a championship. They're going to be looking to improve that roster. And I could see, the Dodgers making some noise now.
Oh man. Yeah. Dodgers, I wouldn't count them out on anybody, even
No.
Judge.
Yeah, no, I think, everyone's talking Giants, Yankees. I still think it's likely it's one of those two, but they could make him, if they want, they could get crazy and just make a stupid offer to Aaron Judge.
Yeah.
I think that they're a team that's kind of waiting in the weeds and seeing what they can sneak up on.
And
Because they're
I
not
know
really linked to anybody right now, which is weird. Like no
it
one's like,
is weird.
oh, this guy's on the Dodgers radar. It's like you don't really hear a lot about who the Dodgers might be considering. So, they already
All
have
quiet on the Western
yeah,
Front.
yeah, they pretty much have an all-star team, but they have the money to add whatever they want. So it's like, do they try to run it back with their 111 win team minus Turner? Maybe they get one of the shortstops instead. Who knows? Like they're completely open to anything right now, I feel like, and that's kind of scary for the rest of baseball.
Yeah, and I know that we've gone Judge heavy on the past few episodes, but real quick, I would not be surprised if the Dodgers have been that third team in on Judge this entire time, but it's just being
Yeah.
underreported. Like I feel like they've been there the whole time with the Yankees and with the Giants.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't.
I
Yeah,
agree.
I don't know what's telling me that, but something is telling me that they're being severely underreported on a lot of these free agents, and something's going on. But yeah, no, you're right. They're going to lose one of their own. They're going to lose their shortstop. Trea Turner goes to the Phillies. 11
Oh,
years. How much did he get?
11.
300?
300
300 on the
and
dot.
full no trade clause. So him and Harper are attached at the hip for the next at least 10 years. I think that might be when Harper's contract is up. Um,
Reunited
which is
and it
just nuts.
feels so
I
good.
mentioned it to Steven before we hopped on, but I have a 2.5-year-old son. He's going to be in high school when Trea Turner's contract is over. Like it's nuts to think about how long he's going to be there with that full no trade clause. I mean, who's really happy about that is Dansby Swanson, Xander Bogaerts, and Carlos Correa.
Oh yeah.
Especially Correa and Swanson, they're a year and a half younger than Turner. So okay, like give me 11, give me 12. Who's
Yeah.
gonna there's all it takes is one team to give a guy a contract. You don't need 5 teams who say they would give a guy 12 years. All you need is one, and these guys have high powered agents. They'll find that one team.
Yeah, no, 100%. And we talked on Coffee in the Cove. Shout out to Eric, who is like the only person that tells us that he listens. But Eric mentioned that
Yeah,
that
tell us if you listen. Drop us a comment or something. Give us
yeah,
a sign.
let's get some activity in here. But I mentioned on Coffee in the Cove when Eric asked, like, Santa's wondering what you want for the winter meetings, and I said I want the shortstops to sign. And this deal right here, I feel like it's going to catapult that market a little bit. You mentioned Correa. Correa is the one guy that I think has his sights set on a lot more. I think we could be pushing 350 with him, maybe even around where Lindor got, in terms of like 320. I think he got 330, where Seager and
So, like, how
Lindor.
many years are you thinking for that then?
Ooh, well, I got my calculator up here now.
I
I'm
mean,
thinking 10 years, 320,
okay. Yeah, because,
or 10 years,
uh,
350.
you know, only, but that 300 over 11's quote unquote only a little over 27 million annual value for Turner, which, I was expecting him, I don't know. He got locked up for a long time and he's got generational wealth now. So, but,
Yeah.
you know, it'll be interesting to see where this market goes now. It could really go any direction, and it's probably only going up for those 3 guys at least after this signing.
Yeah, and the suitors are pretty interesting too, because like obviously the Giants, and then I think Boston's only option is to bring back Bogarts. If they don't bring back Bogarts, I don't think they'll get any of the other two. And then Who are the other team? The Dodgers, I guess. Are they in the shortstop market? The Cubs, the Twins are trying to bring back Correa. So I think it's going to be a pure like musical chairs type of thing where guys are just all over the place. Braves.
Yeah. Sorry, it cut out for me there for a second, but I'm sure you said something really smart.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah, no, I said
Um,
that it's going to be a musical chairs type thing for the shortstops where the Braves, the Twins, the Cubs, some of those like weird smaller market teams could be involved in some of these guys.
yeah, it's weird. Some teams are saying are in on all of them, and then you're like, oh, well, Swanson could go to like the Braves or the Dodgers, but then like Bogarts is like maybe the Twin. It's funny how some teams are like, yeah, they're gonna go after all of them, and some teams are like, yeah, this guy's a fit for that team, but not that team. Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how it plays out. And I also think, not to always bring it back to Aaron Judge, but these signings now are going to, I think, speed up his process. I think he's going to the winter meetings tomorrow. And he's openly said wherever he goes, he wants to sign sooner than later. So his new team or returning team, if he goes back to the Yankees, has time to make other signings around him. And if, a bunch of these dominoes start to fall and Aaron Judge is still unsigned, he's kind of handcuffing his team for 2023 and beyond. So I think he's going to make a decision soon now because of the Turner signing.
Let's say that Judge, like for whatever reason, isn't signed, and let's say that he's not signed, and the winter meetings goes by, and we're in late December or early January, and he's still not signed, and a lot of the good free agents are off the board. Do you still think the Giants like go all in on Judge, and knowing that Judge
I
is
think
the only
they'll
big
try to
piece they're gonna
hedge
get?
their bet. Yeah, well, if he's going to be the only big piece they get, I don't think he comes to San Francisco. So you know what I mean?
Yeah. And he would do
He,
that to himself, right?
yeah.
Kind of like a little
That's why
bit.
I don't think he will. I think he's going to sign in the next day or two. To be honest, I mean, he's going down to the winter meetings. There's only one reason you do that, really. I mean, it's not going to take long for him to get team's best offers. It's like, look, I'm making a decision today, tomorrow, whatever. Like, give me your offer. I'm going to make my decision, and then we can go about our off season.
Yeah.
That's how I think it'll go, to be honest.
Yeah. Free agents that hold out for a long time and then worry about their team not adding
Not
on.
doing enough. Yeah, they
I
do
feel
it to
like
themselves. So
it's kind of a little bit. But I don't think Judge thinks that way. I think you're right. I think he's going to get it done this week, and
like, how late
possibly.
didn't Harper go into January?
I can't remember. He might have gone into January, but what I remember about Harper is that he took a little less that first year in order to make sure the Phillies had the ability to build around him that year. And I know Bumgarner did the same thing with Arizona. Um, but I mean, yeah, no, I think Harper, I mean, what am I trying to say here? Yeah, no, I think Harper did sign in January. I'm trying to think about when he did.
No, Harper went to the end of February. I just looked it
Wow.
up.
Okay.
On March 1st, the Phillies tweeted out, "We got him."
You know what? I do remember that now because I'm thinking of the Giants
It
angle.
was just forever. It took forever, and
Yeah.
like you said, he had to take a little less in that first year to hopefully let the Phillies try to sign a few more guys. And if you look at it, it took a couple years for him to get some other guys around him. They signed Castellanos last year, Turner this year, and so now he's and they were a good team already before Turner. But yeah, most big free agents are usually the first dominoes to fall. It kind of sets the market and gives teams a chance to build around them. So
Yeah. And there's like I think we mentioned this on another show too, but what other shooters are there to the point where like he hasn't made a decision yet? Like he knows where he's going, I think, right? At this point.
yeah, I feel like he has a pretty good idea, unless someone else comes in and like makes it. If the Yankees up their offer, if he's leaning San Francisco, maybe the Yankees come up and blow away that offer because they know that their clock's ticking. But yeah, I mean, how many teams really could make a run at Judge right now? Giants, Yankees, Dodgers, Boston could sneak in there.
Yeah, I heard about that one today. Maybe the
Maybe
Mets.
the Mets. The Mets have said that they weren't going to make a bid for him, which kind of ruffled some feathers across baseball. But
That's
I mean,
lame,
those
by the
four or five
way.
teams, yeah, yeah, I agree. Especially, they're a crosstown rival. Like, why would you just say right up at the jump, like maybe it's just so you don't get used as a a chess piece, but I was pretty surprised by it. But 4 or 5 teams, so it's not like he's going to all 30 teams and saying, give me your best offer. He's probably got at least 2 offers in hand already. If I had to guess, I know the Yankees have documented, at least reported that they offered him 8 years, 300, I think it was. So yeah, I think it won't take him long. He probably already has an idea, as long as, where he wants to go. It's just a matter of, does another team blow that offer away where he has to reconsider? But yeah, I think it's going to happen soon.
Yeah, I think this
Maybe
week.
even tomorrow.
I think we do need to give Bay Area Bob another shout out. He is too important of a human being for us to ignore him.
Yeah, Bay Area Bob says Turner is signing tomorrow, is what he said, right?
You mean Judge?
More or less. Yeah. Bay Area Bob said that Judge is signing tomorrow.
Ooh.
So we'll see. We'll BAB strike again.
I mean, that would be interesting. He's going to the winter meetings tomorrow. He'll like be present in the Marriott down there in San Diego. And
yeah, like, does he already know where he's going and he's coming into town to make an announcement and, take over the baseball world for an hour or two?
Does he have like the hats down on the table, like a Giants hat, a Yankees hat, a Dodger hat, a Red Sox hat? That would be interesting. I'm taking my talents to
the China Basin.
I'm going home. And isn't tomorrow the anniversary
tomorrow's
of Bonds?
Tomorrow's the 30-year anniversary of Bonds, and there's some other like MVP the year before, team lost in the LCS,
hit 311.
Yeah. So I mean, it would be pretty awesome for Giants fans. It would be December 6th would be a day that they remember forever, even if they don't already, from Barry signing, 2 of the biggest free agents ever signing on the same day.
And we've never seen a Giants winter meeting press conference. We've never seen it. Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Like, because they're usually held in San Francisco, and like you got Larry Baer there, and that would be a total situation for Larry Baer to say something like, 30 years ago, we signed Barry Bonds. History is repeating itself. Like, I could totally see that happening, but yeah, no, I think it's going to get done sooner rather than later. Maybe by the time this podcast is out.
Yeah, maybe. Where do you think he's going?
I don't know. I've gone both ways. I started the offseason saying the Yankees. I have thought the last few weeks San Francisco, but now something's telling me like he's there at the winter meetings, or he's going to be there. I don't know. I might be leaning Yankees again. I don't know. There's something about it.
Yeah, my heart is hoping for the Giants. Kind of all along, I don't know if it's just to kind of hedge my bets, but my mind has always said the Yankees. So, I won't be surprised either way, but it'll be definitely interesting to see. My gut is probably saying he's going back to the Yankees, and then the Giants scramble and overpay for Correa. But, maybe they sign both. Who knows?
Do you think Crawford would be thrilled to move? Well, he's not going to be thrilled, but how do you think that would happen with him maybe moving to a different position? Would that like hurt him, do you think?
I don't think so. Not if it gives him a chance to win another championship at the end of his career. I think it would definitely signal that next year is his last year in a Giants uniform. Kind of, unless he just like plays lights out third base and goes off. But the Giants have historically held on to guys a little too long, and it kind of take away, the light at the end of the tunnel to extend his career in a Giants uniform, I think. So it might even be Crawford's last year. Who knows? I don't know if he would go play anywhere else. I don't know if he needs to. He's got, awesome family at home. Five little ones now, I think, maybe 4. But, I could see him not wanting to go anywhere besides the Giants. And so, I know he probably wants to win another one. So, it'd probably be a little ego check for him to have to move positions. But if you say, hey, we got Aaron Judge and Carlos Correa and we're making a run, I think he'd come around to it, I'll say.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, if your team is adding a Carlos Correa and you're anything less than thrilled, you might have to rethink your reason of being on the field, And I
Yeah,
know that
yeah,
guys want to play, but
and Crawford doesn't strike me as that kind of guy.
me neither.
He's pretty laid back as they come, and he's always been kind of a team player. So I think, like I said, a little ego check that he's got to move from where he's won some gold gloves. But if your goal is if you're playing Major League Baseball to win World Series, you'd have to be happy with an addition like that for sure.
Yeah, gosh, that would be something if the Giants somehow uh pull that off. But is there anything else that you're looking forward to for this winter meetings? Like anything else you envision happening? I guess kind of we did this again with Coffee in the Cove, like a Santa's wish list type of thing. That's something you want to happen that hasn't happened yet.
I just want to get some movement, preferably from the Giants because I'm a Giants fan. That's no surprise. But I just think there's going to be a lot of names off the board. I think the winter meetings go through Wednesday, so I think there's going to be a lot of players coming off the board in the next few days, and then it's kind of feast or famine now. If you don't strike while the iron's hot, you're going to probably be a little underwhelmed with who your team ends up signing.
Yeah, I think the pitching market's actually going to finish off. It's going to clear by the end of the week. I think Rodon
So
is going to.
you think Rodon, Walker, Bassett, all those guys are finding a new home this week?
All those guys, yeah, or at least most of them. I think Rodon for sure, and I think Jameson Tyone is an under the radar guy that has been getting a lot of attention. I think he's going to go this week. And maybe the Walker, the Bassett. Bassett's interesting because he's got the draft pick attached to him.
Yeah,
but I think the pitching market starts to clear
I think
out.
the shortstops. I think shortstops and pitching are going to be a pretty bare cupboards after this week.
Yeah, I think eventually we'll see. I think Correa is going to be the last shortstop to sign. I think we might see Bogarts go soon, but then again, I pictured him.
I
with
think
the
for some
Phillies
reason,
so
I think Swanson will be the last one.
Oh, do you? Yeah, he's an
Yeah,
interesting one.
Yeah, I could just see. I don't know. I feel like teams are going to pursue Bogarts and Turner a little more, and then Swanson will be kind of like the consolation prize for whoever misses out on those two.
He's picked up the pace a lot. I mean, Dansby Swanson is a much better player than people give him credit for, and even that I originally thought. I thought for sure he was a defense only guy, shortstop. He's going to post. He's going to give you 160 games a year, but he hits too. Like he silently rakes, and I think that's something he's put together the last few years. And the Braves had a really good infield with Freeman at one point at first base, and Riley at third, and Albies and Swanson, and I guess 2/4 of that is looking like it's going to be gone. So weird times.
And Albies is having a hard time staying on the field. So
yeah, got hurt, was hurt last year towards the end of the year in the middle. So I don't know if they're going to bring him back at all, but we'll see. That could be an interesting move.
Yeah, either way, I think we're going to have a lot of movement to talk about next week.
No doubt about it.
It'll be interesting to see where the dust settles.
Yeah, and we're going to try to get someone on to talk about it with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, episode 7, man. I think we shut it down again.
Shut it down.
That was such down. Yeah, that was a smooth. We hit all of it, everything we wanted to hit, and it went pretty well. So,
yes, thank you everybody for listening. At Shutdown_inning on Twitter. You can find us on YouTube or anywhere else you consume your podcasts.
Yeah, go check it out. Subscribe. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, tell us you're listening. Drop us a little comment, like terrible episode. What's Steven talking about? Whatever you want to say, just let us know.
Maybe a mailbag episode soon. That would be a lot of fun.
Yeah,
one of these days.
And we got to do at some point in December. We'll put our Hall of Fame ballots out and maybe start to have a conversation.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be. Us. We like the Hall of Fame. So, anyways, again, everywhere you find your podcast, like Tyler said. And maybe some big moves happen when we see you next time. So see you later. And
that's what's up.
That's what's up.